Hey there, everybody. How is it going? Had a little trouble with my camera, but I got it working. I don't know what was wrong with it, but here we are live on World of Antiquity. Thank you all for coming. Gary, $5. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Uh, I assume you are all here to find out the latest ancient history and archaeological news. Yeah, we didn't do it last month. You probably, maybe you noticed that, maybe you didn't, but I was out of town and couldn't do it. So today we're going to do 2 months worth, August and September. Okay. It's not going to be twice as long. I'm just taking the top ones that I think you'd be interested in. Where was I? I was in China. Yeah, China, filming the newest season of the Antiquities Travel Guide. I don't know if you are watchers of the Antiquities Travel Guide, but we just finished up our series in Turkey, and now we're going to do China. Yeah, so I'm excited about it. I've been going through the footage, and I'm working on the first episode. It will be out fairly shortly, and all kinds of great things in China. We basically drove around in central China. Yeah, I drove in China. Yeah, never been there before either. But it wasn't bad. The driving there is very similar to the US. So uh, I had to get a Chinese driver license, a temporary one, and I had to go through some red tape, but I got it and I went. And we went to these amazing places. So I can't wait to show them to you. I've got Glenn there being the mod for me in the chat. Thank you, Glenn, for helping out. And I will be taking a look at the chat whenever I can and answering whatever questions I can. But there's so many people and I have a lot of things to cover. So we'll do the best we can. If you put out a question on a super chat, right? If you make a donation, which helps the channel very much, I'll be more likely to see it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make it so that they appear. Let's see. How do I do that to make it appear? The comments appear on the now I forgot how to do it. I know it's in here somewhere, but I thought it was very easy. Now I can't figure it out. But anyway, I can at least put on a ticker. I can't remember how to do it. Sorry about that. But I'll take a look at the chat every now and then to see if I can find one. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to get seen, but it is more likely that you'll get seen. And any donations that go to the channel help the channel out. So remember, this is how I make my living. This is my full-time job. Okay, I'm an online history teacher. I teach courses online and I do YouTube. And so you guys are the only ones that are really supporting me. So I really appreciate it. Anyway, let's say hello to some people here. Lots of people have been saying hello. Daniel and Gary and Jason, Kevin, Stuart, Kim, from all around the world here. Kim's from Belgium. We got Raruni Phoenix from Michigan. Jason, you lived in China for 11 years? Wow, okay. All right. El Hungaro's here. Carl's here from Sweden. Roro. Dr. Banoob. A Copt living in San Diego. Well, speaking of Copts, guess where I'm going next? We did a series in ancient Egypt. Well, in modern Egypt, about ancient Egypt. But I'm going back again because I only did the northern half of the country, and we're going again to the southern half of the country in November, and I'm taking people with me. You may know about this already, but if you want to go on the trip, there is a link below the video, tells you all about it. Would love to have you come along. Glenn Perry is here. Hey there, Glenn. Good to see you. I know Glenn from X. He's always over there making great comments about ancient Egypt, usually. Saykon from California is here. Anyway, good to see all of you. Eyes Open. I know you're one of my fans. He's from Canada, or she. I don't know Eyes Open if you're he or she or they, but welcome. All right. Now, the people who are like wanting to hear the history, I say, come on, would you quit with the small talk? Let's hear about some archaeological discoveries. Okay. That's what we're going to do right now. So let's look at a few that I have picked out for you. So let me share my screen here. And we are going to, I forgot to do this ahead of time. We are going to add a screen share. Geez, how did I do this before? Present, there we go. Share screen. Here we go. Okay, that's not how I wanted to do it. I want to do it like this, except I'm on StreamYard. Just okay. All right, there we go. Okay, it's coming back to. It's been 2 whole months. You know, I kind of forgot how it was done, but you can see that all right, right? You can see me looking at Koba, stela discovered at Koba. Okay, great. Well, what is the stela that was discovered at Koba? Koba, in case you don't know, is in the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, and it's a Maya city. I actually went there in season 2 of the Antiquities Travel Guide. Really cool place. And they found a limestone mural. It has hieroglyphs all over it, 123 of them, Maya hieroglyphs. And it describes the founding of the city. I love it when historical documents are found because, as you may know, I'm a historian. And what do historians do? They study documents. A lot of people get confused and they think I'm an archaeologist. Yeah, I do live stream on archaeological discoveries, but that's because the archaeological discoveries inform the study of history. So I love it, especially though when we find documents. So this is from Koba, and this is the INAH, in case you didn't know. They're the ones that are in charge of all the archaeology there. And Koba is in the Yucatan. And here's an image of its most famous pyramid, which I got to climb on top of, which was really cool. Quite tall, one of the tallest pyramids in Mexico. And the inscriptions, it says, reveal the name of a previously unknown ruler, Kawil Chak Cheen, filling a gap in archaeologists' knowledge about the dynastic sequence of Koba. So this is in the late classic period. We're talking about between 600 and 900 of our Common Era. And according to the archaeologists, the newly discovered stela sheds more light on the ancient Mayas' worldview and ritual practices. It confirmed that many of the region's rulers adopted the name of the god Kawil, believing it conferred upon them the attributes of the protective deity that the Maya associated with meteorological phenomena and abundant harvests. Anyway, it talks about how they preserved and protected and restored the artifact. And it has information in there about the founding of Koba. So I thought that was one of the great archaeological discoveries of the month. Let's look at another one. And by the way, I will be leaving all the links below the video after I'm done. They're not there now, but I will put them all there after I'm done so that you can click on these and find out more. Over 50 royal seals unearthed in 3,800-year-old Hittite city of Shamucha. What is a seal? You may or may not know. A seal is a piece of clay that they sealed a document with or anything with. You could seal a jar with it or something like that, and then you stamp it, right? So a royal seal is a clay seal that has been stamped or that you stamp something with, and it has images on it, and you can see some examples here. So this is in a Hittite city at a place called Kayala Panar. It's in Anatolia, that's in Turkey. And they unearthed 50 seal impressions. Okay, so impressions means the clay that they pressed into, including impressions from royal family members, princes, scribes, and local temple lords. Among the most notable finds is the seal of a prince named Hattusha Runtia, which means protector of Hattusha, the ancient Hittite capital. They've got another one by Pihaya, a scribe thought to have served Queen Puduhepa, and Arma Tarupasani, a moon god's servant. Yeah. Shamucha was a colony for Assyrian merchants. I talked about this a little bit in the Turkey series, how there were colonies of merchants from Assyria. Now, this is outside of Anatolia, but they lived there in the 18th century BCE, and this is where it was found. This is during the Old Hittite period. So Pretty cool. Uh, so you can take a look at some of these images here of them close up. And yeah, I thought that was another great discovery. All right, let's go to the third one, and then I'll look at the chat again and see if you have any comments or questions about some of these. Ancient Chinese bone needle workshop reveals industrial practices of the second millennium BCE. Okay, this is quite old as well. You can see an image here of the site. This is in a place in Shanxi province. And just so you know, there in China, there's a Shanxi province and a Shanxi province. One is spelled with two A's and one with one in English. Um, but this is the longer one, Shanxi, okay? A place called Shimao, okay? This is not a place that I went to on my trip. And they found one of the earliest and largest bone needle workshops ever discovered. There actually is a research article published in the Journal of Anthropological Archaeology, and you can click on the link there to read that if you'd like more information. And it's about how they made bone needles. This is in the Chinese Neolithic period, okay? So this is their Neolithic to Bronze Age transition, okay? Second millennium. Yeah, so you can see some more images here. Quite a large site, okay? And you can see some of the images here. Now, what's the big deal? A bone needle workshop. Well, they found here more than 18,759 pieces of finished and semi-finished bone, and 16,000 of them were bone needles, okay? And they used sheep or goat bones for this, I guess because they're straighter. Yeah, but it's the reason why it's important is because it's an industry, right? It's not just some people who are, in a little tribe, making some bone needles for themselves. This is a bone needle industry. This is like a factory of bone needle production to provide lots of people with the bone needles. So this is what makes it really interesting because it's in the Neolithic to Bronze Age transition. So I thought that was a great discovery as well. All right, let's see what some of you have to say. I'm going to back up a little bit here. Felix says small talk is important sometimes. That is true, Felix. That is true. I agree with you there. Ruruni says, have you made any videos responding to pseudo-historians who use revised chronologies of ancient Egyptian history to try to fit catastrophist theories like Velikovsky and young Earth creationism? I've been meaning to make a video on Velikovsky and those guys for quite some time, Ruruni. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. And the thing is, chronology is kind of like my thing, so it is an interest. All right. And back in the day, before I got into all this, I was a David Rohl fan, and I know he's a Velikovsky disciple, if you want to call it that. He might be mad if I said that, but so yeah, I do want to make a video on that. I haven't made one yet, but there are a few right that have these ideas that there's a segment of history that's been added in, right, that to make it longer, or some people argue the opposite, that we've eliminated a part. But this idea is that we've extended history longer than what it actually is, and it's kind of interesting. You all know about the girl on TikTok, right? Who she talked about how the Roman Empire was faked. It was all fake. So there are people that still believe this stuff. So it would be a good one to do. I shouldn't say girl, a woman. Yes. Oh, hey, Jason, just popped in to say, keep up the excellent work, Dr. Miano. Gotta run. All right, well, I appreciate you coming in and saying hello. The first sweatshop, says John. Yes, that's right, John. Dr. Banoob says, Egyptian oh, wait. Oh, okay, this is not... I have some Egyptian finds, Dr. Banoob, but I don't remember them unearthing a sword. Oh, maybe I do remember that, with Pharaoh Ramses II's name on it. Yeah, I think I do remember that. I didn't put it in today's list, but I had forgotten about it. But yeah, that's a cool one. Of course, we have lots of things with Ramses' name on it, but it's still cool. Okay, let's go. Oh, let's see. What else do we got here? Jason says, Jason Hickey, big site you would think for manufacturing bone tools. Yeah, Just shows the supply and demand for the time. That's cool. Yeah. All right, let's look at a few more. So this one here from Bulgaria, 3rd century BCE Thracian temple found fully preserved in Bulgaria's Plovdiv, if I'm pronouncing that right. You can see part of it here in the picture. Yes, it's completely preserved temple from Thrace, said to date from the 3rd century BCE on the outskirts of Plovdiv. Yeah. Its construction technique is characteristic of the Thracians in the area. That is today's Bulgaria. Dry masonry and mortar of clay and sand in precisely defined proportions. Yeah. The archaeologist here, Kisyov, said that this is the first Thracian. Oh, this is the Kisyov is the. I think Kisyov is the. Yeah, he's the professor. Yeah, said this is the first Thracian temple discovered in the area, and it can be completely restored since all the authentic building elements have been preserved in place. This will probably end up being a tourist location because if you have all the things that you can, restore it and put it back together, that's fantastic. In practice, we've been conducting excavations for the 3rd year already. Here, for the first time in Bulgaria, we discovered that there is a medieval church from the 12th and 13th century on the top of the mound. So this is all in this one mound that they've been excavating. However, the mound was not built for the sake of the church, but for the Thracian Christian temple at its base. See, this is what happens when you dig down further. First, they find the medieval church, then they find out the church is built on top of something else. They come to a temple. Yeah. Philippopolis was the ancient name of the place, named after Philip, I assume of Macedon. Yeah, so pretty cool. Then you may have heard about this one. Everyone always hears about the Nazca lines, okay? So we've got interesting technology being used here. Archaeologists use AI to discover 303 unknown geoglyphs near the Nazca lines. Okay, they date back to 200 BCE or so, nearly double the number of known geoglyphs. Okay, so you can see one here. So this is all in Peru, as you may know. Just so you know, there are two cultures here, Paracas culture and Nazca culture, and the Paracas culture precedes the Nazca culture. And these figures are right around the transition period from Paracas to Nazca. So what's interesting about them is that they're small ones. This is why it was more difficult to see them. Everyone sees the big ones. They're mainly from the Nazca period. But there are small ones as well. And the small ones are often earlier than the big ones. So in other words, we're seeing a progression here from them making smaller geoglyphs and then later making larger, huge geoglyphs. And so what they said about it is, oh, you probably want to know how they used AI first. Let me tell you that. The use of AI has allowed us to map the distribution of geoglyphs more quickly and accurately. It was combined with low-flying drones, so it revolutionized the speed and rate at which they were discovered. So it's not, don't get the impression like they just typed in like, ChatGPT, can you tell us where some geoglyphs are? That's not how it works, okay? But they're using it to go faster, all right, to find these faster by using drones along with it. Yeah. The AI model efficiently spotted many of the smaller relief type geoglyphs, which were harder to see with the naked eye. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. And they have some examples here. Now, here's what I wanted to highlight. It says, one of the archaeologists said, we can say that these geoglyphs were made by humans for humans. They often show scenes from everyday life, whereas the geoglyphs of the Nazca period are gigantic figures made on mostly flat surfaces to be seen by their gods. That's why Ancient Aliens is so interested in them, because the big ones, they think, oh yeah, it's for people to see from high above, so it must be spaceships or something that they're doing it for, when actually it's for of course the high gods. But the fact that this practice started earlier with smaller ones for regular people to see and then led into the big ones, you can see a progression, right? So I thought that was cool. Um, let's see. Uh, Dr. Banoob, you're sharing another one. Oh, that's the one about the Ramses one. Okay, cool. L says, I don't trust AI. AI could have still missed glyphs. Well, sure, it could have missed glyphs. Yeah. But we definitely missed glyphs that AI found. So, uh, I hope they limit tourists to some of these ancient places. I always worry tourists aren't respectful. They often aren't, but here's the thing, and I learned this even more so when I went to China. Um, if tourists come to visit a site and they pay to see it, that money can be used for more archaeological research. And China has harnessed this really well by making the archaeological sites really popular, and lots of people go to them, which makes them able to make even bigger and better museums, to do more archaeological work and find more things to make it even more exciting. And it just feeds itself. And I think it's good for archaeology ultimately. But you're right. There are people who are disrespectful, who touch up and ruin the material, and foot traffic through places can ruin it. So it's kind of like you have to weigh each side and see where the bigger payoff is. Does AI equal Atlantean intelligence? Maybe, maybe. Okay, let's look at another one. Ancient terracotta pipelines excavated at Kiladi in Tamil Nadu. This is in southern India. And by the way, Kiladi has been under excavation for a few years now, and they're always finding really cool new things there. But recently, they discovered terracotta pipelines. And this is the 10th phase. That means it's the 10th year of archaeological excavation in Kiladi. Okay, a terracotta pipeline has been found, further indicating presence of an ancient water management practice followed by people at least 2,600 years ago. That's how old it is. Previously, the archaeologists found an open drain, a closed channel, and small tanks. Now they found the pipes. So that's really cool. One of the officials said that the latest finding of a pipeline is a cylindrical structure. 6 such structures have been found to make one long pipeline. And you know what? Because I couldn't find a picture of the pipeline here, I got another article here that had a picture. Now, I'm assuming that Archaeo News is giving us the actual real picture from Kiladi. It wasn't in the original article there, but this, I think, is part of one anyway. So again, it's the same story. 6th century BCE terracotta pipeline. What's interesting about it is, here's another picture that wasn't on the other one. What's interesting about it is, normally people have said, in northern India, we have the Indus Valley civilization. It was so advanced, it was wonderful, and that most of the progress and technology and all that was in northern India. Southern India wasn't doing much of anything. But a lot of the excavations here at Kiladi, and some other places too, have shown that is actually not the case, that there were great things being built in southern India too. Not as far back as the Indus Valley civilization times. The people live there, but I mean, this is 6th century BCE, so this is sometime later, but it's still in a period that we call ancient India. When we look at what's happening in the north, things equivalent are happening around the same time. So I think it's important to point that out. All right. Some of you may remember I did a interview with a fellow named Ludovic Orlando. And he is like an expert on horse genetics, ancient horse genetics. This is his thing. This is what he's interested in doing. He's a geneticist. And with his team, over the last several years, they have been researching the genetic lineage of horses. All right. It's, it's a niche topic, but it's interesting for history, especially because around this time, we want to know, like, where people went, and sometimes if you follow where horses are going, it helps us understand where people are going too, although horses can be traded. Keep that in mind. But each time they come out with a new research study, we have a bigger picture of what's going on with horses. Okay, so this latest one that just came out, this is just from IFL Science, but it's there's a link to the actual study here as well. It says that 4,200 years ago, humans started to spread domesticated horses across Eurasia. So it's talking about how the horse that we have today, which in previous studies they have established that all the domestic horses in the world, all right, go back to this one horse breeding area. Now, simultaneously, there were other horses being bred, but they have not lasted until today. Only one domestic horse has survived until today, and all the domestic horses of today go back to that single lineage. Okay. So anyway, they did a massive study. They assessed 475 different ancient horse genomes to trace when the animals were first reshaped by humans. Okay. And they combined archaeology with this. And then they did radiocarbon dating and DNA sequencing, and they got a whole time series for how the horses spread out. Okay, so here's what we find out. All right, 4,200 years ago marks the beginning of horse-based mobility as we know it today, something that persisted as the fastest form of terrestrial transportation until the 20th century. Okay, but they didn't know on what scale horses were being bred. Okay, how could such a substantial number of horses be bred so suddenly from a relatively small domestication area? Right, now we have an answer. Breeders controlled the reproduction of the animal so well that they almost have the time interval between two generations. Put simply, they were able to accelerate the breeding process, effectively doubling their production rate. Yeah, and you can get more information about exactly where they started. Basically, it's in Central Asia and how they spread out in that study. But they're continuing to work on this, and they're continuing to find out more about the domesticated horse. So I thought that was pretty cool. Excuse me. I need a cough button. Let's see what else you have to say over here. Jacob just came into the room. All right. AI is overrated generally, says DC. Gary says AI as a tool is fine. AI as a standalone authority, nope. Elle says plumbing for everyone. Yes. Indian revisionists are insane, says Abel. Well, you know, I've made a few videos on this topic, so I'm not going to add anything to that right now. Nano Reaper says AI still needs to have work checked by humans. After all, it always seems to give people six fingers, and safeguards need to be put in place to keep from being used by students in school. Yeah. Gary says, check out Heavenly Horses of Fergana. Is that a book, Gary, or is it a video? Friday Boss Man says, oh, shoot, I missed the start. Time to go 2 times speed. Try to catch up to us, Friday. Dana has just come in. Great to see you. Sounds like horses and dogs have a lot in common. Yeah. Cats domesticated people, says Vaughn. Any recommendations for the domestication of other species like dogs, goats, etc.? Lily, off the top of my head, I don't know, but I can take a look into it, try to find something. I know about like where goats and sheep and cattle and all that were first domesticated, but I don't know a lot about where they spread to when, which is something I probably should do more research on. Fastest land transport till 20th century. Not sure about that since the steam train was yeah, but didn't horses go faster than trains in the early time period? Trains were pretty slow, I think, in those days, but maybe you're right. Any chance of visiting Pakistani archaeological sites? Yeah, well, yeah. I'm not that I'm playing favorites here, Jen, but I'll probably go to India first. But I do also want to go to Pakistan. So don't worry, I will get there. I will absolutely get there. I just hope they don't hook a weapon to AI. Let's see. Gary says it's a horse species. You had capital letters, so it looked like a book title or something like that, Gary. Yeah. The celestial horses, I usually call them. It's what the Chinese called them. Yeah. Anna says Horse reproduction probably increased rapidly when folks learned to ride them instead of eat them. Seems like a lot of ancient people ate horses before they learned to ride them. I know. Let's start riding cows. Charles says, government like governments like tourist dollars, but don't like paying guards to ward off looters. Yeah, different areas are different. Thank you, Strobex, for the super sticker, $4. I appreciate it very much. I've been wondering about any current archaeological projects in Afghanistan. I've heard the new government has changed stance and reopened many sites for tourism, though I don't know to what extent. I haven't looked into it much. But thanks for bringing it up, because maybe it's a place I should consider. My dad always worries that wherever I go, he thinks wherever I go, I'm going to get in trouble, I'm going to get arrested, or people are going to kill me. But so far, things have been okay. Okay, let's look at some more. Theory of a violent invasion of the Iberian Peninsula in late prehistory now questioned. Now, I don't know if you know about this, but some previous studies have suggested that people from the steppes, came westward into Europe and massacred all the male population. You've probably heard this before. Basically, this is like, yes, these are the Indo-Europeans coming in to Europe and massacring everybody and replacing the population. And there is some evidence of that in certain places. But now let's look at this in the Iberian Peninsula. There was a theory, there still is really, that warrior groups with a steppe genetic component came from Eastern Europe and violently replaced the male population. This is about 4,200 years ago. This is right when we were talking about the horses, right? This is right when we're talking about the horses. Now a new study has been done, paper published in Journal of Archaeological Science reports. They explored how society and populations changed in Southeast Spain at that time. This is a transition from Copper to Bronze Age. Okay. And basically what they're saying is there wasn't a large population in Iberian Peninsula at the time. So in other words, yeah, steppe people came in, but there wasn't a lot of people to replace. Okay. And they instead mixed with the people who lived there, small local groups, or they went into uninhabited areas, because there were a lot of uninhabited areas in the Iberian Peninsula, and lived there. So yeah, they did take over, but there really wasn't a violent massacre or anything, because there weren't that many people there to begin with. That's basically what the study is suggesting. Okay. Now we still have to find out what peer review is going to say about this and what the other people who have published on the other side have said. So there might be some argument about this, but that's what this latest study that just came out is saying. So I think that's pretty interesting too. All right, another one. Roman siege of Masada was much quicker than assumed, Israeli archaeologists say. So this is archaeological work done at Masada. You probably know the story of Masada. Do you know about it? There was even a movie, I think, made with Peter O'Toole. I think it was a TV movie. But anyway, so just to give you some background, this is about the war between the Romans and the Jews in the 1st century. And you probably all know about the siege of Jerusalem in the year 70, when Titus, the son of the Roman emperor at the time, he later will become emperor, he took over, he laid siege to Jerusalem and ended up taking it because the Jews had rebelled against Rome. Well, the last holdout of Jewish rebels was up in the fortress of Masada, and this was an impregnable fortress on a mountain, a plateau. And the Romans had to build a ramp to go up it. And in the year 73, they finally broke in. Now, the story has always been that it took 3 years for the Romans to make that ramp to get up to the top and finally take the fort. But now they're doing a research study here, and they're saying, no, the Romans actually built the ramp very quickly. So their new theory is that the Romans didn't come to Masada until, a couple years later. Then they laid siege to it and took it. And it was a different commander, by the way, who did this. So it wasn't like they were laying siege to this fort for 3 years. All right. It was a very quick siege, in fact, and the Romans were very efficient. And that's basically what this new research study, based on the material remains, has concluded. You can see some pictures of Masada. It's quite a big plateau. Yeah. The ramp's still there. You can even see it. Okay. What's left of it. So yeah, so that's another new study that came out. By the way, as you know, I am not only showing you archaeological discoveries, brand new things that are dug out of the ground, but also showing you brand new studies about archaeological discoveries. Okay. Yeah. I don't know about Masada. It's a sad story. So the steppe is a large area that incorporates many modern countries. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Glenn says Romans built very quickly when they set their minds to it. Sure did. Uh, will Donald be kissing it? I know that's a joke, but I'm not sure what we're talking about. Maybe you're responding to somebody else. I'm not sure. They built a dirt ramp in the desert. That would suck to have to dig up. Yeah, I suppose so. Okay, let's look at another one here. Hidden 5,000-year-old copper pollution found near the Great Pyramid of Giza. Copper pollution? Yeah, interesting, huh? Remember, at the time that the Giza plateau was being built on, copper tools were very common. Okay, they used copper tools and stone tools to make a lot of things, and they're finding contamination of the water. Okay, at Giza. So this is started in 2019. They bored into the earth beneath the streets of Cairo. It's about a kilometer from the Great Pyramid. Okay, there was a harbor there. That's why they dug there. All right, the ancient harbor's now dried up, but they dug down there. It's the world's oldest known port, they say. Is it the world's oldest known port? Not sure, but they're saying that. Anyway, they found the first major instance of human-induced metal contamination. Though the Giza necropolis is famous for its pyramids and shriveled mummies, a new study published in Geology offers unprecedented evidence of a largely unheralded aspect of ancient Egyptian civilization, persistent centuries-long metalworking. They did work a long time there at Giza. Yeah, we'd like to know more about 95% of the people rather than the elite, said Alain Véron, a geochemist from France's Aix-Marseille Université. But I wanted to tell you a little bit more about the contamination. Okay. It's a now defunct branch of the Nile. The harbor was essential for transporting materials to the site, and that's where they had copper tool making. Okay. The study traced the onset of metal contamination to around 3265 BCE. That's way earlier than Khufu, the Great Pyramid, but it's still in. It's just pre-dynastic. It's just before the first pharaoh. Okay, that's at least what the radiocarbon dating is saying here. Contamination during the pre-dynastic period suggests that human occupation and metalworking in Giza began more than 200 years earlier than previously documented. Isn't that interesting? Because there are many ways to find out if people were doing something somewhere. You can look for the remains of buildings or tools or the artifacts themselves, or you can do studies like this. Okay, people were contaminating the water by doing their metalworking 200 years earlier than they thought. Now, it has to be corroborated, of course, because this is just one study, but that's what it's suggesting. Okay. They did find some graves north of Giza from the pre-dynastic period, but I don't think anything at Giza itself. So, yeah, pretty interesting, huh? So I thought I'd share that one with you too. Austin, thank you for the $10. Thanks for fighting the good fight against disinformation. Keep up the great work. I appreciate that so much, Austin. Very much. Thank you. Jason says copper was important in their stone cutting tech. Yes, as was stone. They also cut with stone tools too. Glenn says links in very well with the mining and smelting evidence from the area of Sabet el Kadem and the Wadi Jarf papyri. Oh, yeah, Glenn. Very interesting. Copper mines to the east, a little north of Wadi al Jarf. Yeah, Avery. I'm not surprised that we are finding people doing things earlier than we have documents for. We always find earlier, L, right? Because you're not going to find later, okay? Right? So let's say you find something. Oh, look, they're doing it in this year. They're doing this, right? You're never going to find anything that says, oh, no, they weren't doing it yet. I mean, well, it could happen. You could misinterpret the evidence. But usually, if you keep digging for things, you're going to find something from before that. Yeah. And by the way, some people complain that archaeologists or historians will say things like, and this is the earliest we've ever, that this ever happened. Okay, this is the first time people ever did that. And yes, I can see how that could be misleading, because what they really should be saying is, this is the earliest known evidence for this thing, right? This is the earliest that we know of that this happened. And I have been guilty of just being lazy and not, well, there's a lot of extra words you have to use there. Just, oh yeah, it's the earliest. But I want you to know that if I do say this is the earliest of something, it just means the earliest we know of. Yeah. Have you ever worked as an archaeologist, and where? I have never worked as an archaeologist, player one. Yeah, some people think I am an archaeologist. I'm not. Ancient historian. I just deal with ancient documents. But ancient archaeology, archaeology of ancient culture, informs what I do. So I have to study what the archaeologists are doing, right? But I haven't done it myself. So don't think of me as an expert. If you want to talk to a real archaeologist, there are some great ones on YouTube. Flint Dibble just did a live stream today. A big archaeology podcast episode number 1 came out today, so you might want to check that one out. But I am not an archaeologist. The Mahdi culture, says Dr. Banoob, is known for earlier stone architecture. Yeah, that's right. Player one. Oh, you're talking to player one, Glenn. Okay, Darknaze says technology and science never comes out of a vacuum. These people always stand on the shoulders of giants, just less of them than we today. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Just visited Dr. Dibble's live stream and it was great. Oh, Gary, cool. I'm glad to hear that. Exevis says, finally got my dad to watch a series of your videos. LOL. Okay, cool. I'm glad you got it. Family members. Those are the first ones you want to recommend to, right? I'm glad. Thank you so much. All right, let's look at some more. The 2,200-year-old Agora of Aigai ancient city comes to light. Now, they've been excavating here at Aigai. Aigai is in western Turkey, and this picture here is of the Agora. The Agora, in case you didn't know, is it's basically where all the shopping was done. Okay, it's the market, the main market of the city. It's usually one of the most built-up parts of the city. And here we have the one from Aigai that has just been uncovered. They've been working on it for a few years, but they've just announced that they've uncovered the Agora from Aigai. Okay. It's one of the 12 Aeolian cities established in Western Anatolia. Aeolia is in Greece, but Greece had colonies. And so there were 12 colonies of Aeolia that were established in Anatolia, and this is one of them. Okay. And the city was founded around 700 BCE, but it was very important for quite some time after that, well into Hellenistic times. Hellenistic times is when it peaked. Okay. So yeah. So I thought that was an interesting find as well. Ancient Peruvian site reveals a remarkable painted throne room of Moche female leader. Look at this. Isn't that amazing? There's still paint on it. A lot of times you don't realize this, but the stelas that we find, which are just like plain usually, a lot of them had paint on them and just wore off. But this one still has some of the paint. It's really cool. And apparently that's a female ruler. This is a place called Pañamarca. It's in the Nepena Valley of north coastal Peru. They found a pillared throne room with imagery and evidence that a high-status female leader used it. Isn't that the coolest thing? Now, this is what the Moche civilization was from 350 to 850 CE. So it's near the end of the ancient period, but it's pretty cool. If you don't know much about the Moche culture, there's a few sites that are of interest. It's not like a huge megalithic civilization or anything like that, but they've got lots of great tombs that have been found and architecture that's still pretty fantastic. So, and art. Yeah. So the Panyamarka expedition started in 2018, but this was just found. So I thought that was a very cool find as well. And then we have Pompeii. I don't know if you realize this or not, but they're still digging at Pompeii. If you've ever gone there, I've been there once. I want to go there again. You see, oh, the whole city's here. They've excavated the whole city. They have not excavated the whole city. A lot of it they've excavated, but there's still more to be excavated, and they're still working on it. Anyway, the latest discovery was the bodies of a man and a woman. Okay, and they were clutching onto their valuables. It's interesting, right? You can't take it with you, folks, but they probably thought, okay, we got to get our valuables and try to get out of here or something like that. But they died, sadly. A cache of coins and precious jewelry. Okay, it's in Region 9 of the city, where they've found other stuff already there, a bakery, a home renovation, rooms decorated with elaborate drawings. So things are constantly coming out of Pompeii, but this is the most recent one that happened just in the last couple months. Okay. And so these are some of the images of the man and the woman. Okay, that's all we have there. And there's some of their valuables. The woman was found holding coins and jewelry. So I thought that was interesting. Give my man's his gold back. I don't think they'll get done with Pompeii and Herculaneum for decades. You're probably right, El. I don't know if you've noticed this or not. Not a lot of people are aware of this, but especially over on X, some people are really making a big deal and criticizing archaeologists for going too slow. And they're like, what is that? Especially with Göbekli Tepe, which, they think is like the ultimate site, and it hides so many secrets. And why are archaeologists going so slow excavating Göbekli Tepe? What's their, are they deliberately trying to avoid finding what's down there and all of this? But archaeology goes slow. It goes slow everywhere, not just at Göbekli Tepe, but everywhere. That's just the process. But you would rather them do it right than just go in there and just start blasting away. That's how they used to do it in the 1800s, We don't do it like that anymore. We archaeologists don't do it like that anymore, and for good reason. Yeah. They also get mad that archaeologists have said on numerous occasions, they often say this, that, oh, we're going to save some of this site for future archaeologists. Like, well, why aren't you doing it now? But it's because in the future we might have technologies that will enable us to study it better, and we have to leave something for them, because once you dig, you ruin that part of the site. You've destroyed it. Okay, you've taken stuff out, and you have to go through levels, and you destroy the upper layers to get down to the lower layers. So you destroy it. So you need to leave some of it intact, so other people in the future, if they have new questions that they want to answer, can go there and dig and find out new things, right? So this is just good manners, okay? And it's good for science. But they don't like it. They complain about it. They're in a rush. But archaeology is not a rush type of thing, okay? We go slow. They go slow. Okay. Gary says, I wouldn't expect Pompeii to ever be completely excavated in the next couple hundred years. Yeah. Recently read some good books about Pompeii by the great Mary Beard. Okay, cool, Glenn. Couple hundred. Well, I don't think it'll take that long. Hard to say. Any cool insights or discoveries aided by machine learning AI, like the Vesuvius Scroll, deciphered by Yusuf Nader, Luke Farritor, and Julian Schillinger earlier this year? They're working on it, but as soon as they have announcements about new machine learning and all that, I will tell you. And you know what? this is a good segue because I'm going to tell you about some of it coming up right now. Okay. Not from Herculaneum or anything, but from other places. Tell me good channels like yours which bust myths about medieval history. I don't know, player one. I don't know. I don't really follow the medieval history channels, but if I do find out, okay, I'll turn you on to it. Okay. Oh, hey, Flint is in the room. Hey, Flint. Flint says, "Rock on, David. Glad to see you. I was just telling people about your earlier podcast today and told them to go watch it." All right, let's take another look here. Oh, this before we get to the decipherment. It's coming up though, I promise. All right, this is from Egypt. Edfu Temple Restoration Project unveils ancient painted inscriptions for the first time. Now, just so you know, you might not know this, but yeah, they carve reliefs into the walls of tombs and temples and so forth in ancient Egypt. All right. And they do the hieroglyphs that way as well. And then they paint them and so forth. But sometimes maybe they want to add something in at the last minute, so they'll just do it in paint. Or it's hard to see, but if you can see the paint, it brings it back. But anyway, here at Edfu Temple, they've been cleaning, all right, restoring the walls. They get covered in dirt and soot and all of that stuff. And so they've been cleaning it up. Okay. This is a joint Egyptian-German team that have been working here. The German team's from the University of Würzburg. Okay. Started in 2021. And they've been cleaning the temple roofs, the walls, the chambers. All right. It's part of the restoration. It's not just so people can go and see it and it looks better, but it also helps to restore it. And there were painted scenes and demotic inscriptions written by priests, okay, and traces of gold that once gilded reliefs depicting deities and royal symbols. So things that they couldn't see before, they can see now, which of course will enable further study. So yeah, it's really great that they're doing this kind of work. You can see some of the images here. Okay. So look at this one here. Now, I believe the one on the bottom is how it did look. And then the one on the top is how it looks. Wait. Yeah. Is that how it looks now? Yeah, I assume that's what's going on here. It doesn't have any caption explaining, but I think this is a before and after picture. But yeah, so that's really cool. Why is the guy blue in the picture? Says L. Well, these are when we're talking about gods, okay? They don't have to look like humans. So let's go back up. Who are we looking at here? Oh, wait a minute. Who is this? I'm not sure who this is. Glenn Perry, you still in the room? Do you know who this is? A Nile god? Oh, okay. Could be the Nile god. Hapi? Dr. Banoob says this. It could be, which would make sense why he's blue. Yeah. He was rejected from the cast of Avatar. Yeah. Finding ancient intact paintings is one of the most exciting things to me. Yeah. Greg says he's from the Blue Man group. Glenn says blue with breasts is most likely Hoppy. Okay. Okay, great. Makes a lot of sense. Okay. Now we're going to talk about deciphering inscriptions, okay? 4,000-year-old lunar eclipse omen tablets finally deciphered. Yeah. Now, these have been in the British Museum. They're cuneiform documents. They've been in the British Museum for many decades, okay? By the way, you got to have somebody to work on stuff, right? So you find all these tablets, right? You collect them all, but there's not enough people a lot of times to just study them all. So there's a lot of cuneiform documents that need to be gone through. So anyway, there's this collection of omen tablets, okay? And a team finally started working on them and deciphering them. I don't like the word deciphered, and I hate the word decoded. If you ever read an article online and it says ancient tablets decoded. Okay, it's not a good article. Okay, they're trying to make more. It's not a code. It's a language. Okay, deciphered. Deciphered usually refers to when you don't know how to read a language and then you decipher it, right? You figure out how to read the language. That's deciphering. Okay, we already know how to read cuneiform, right? This is translating. Okay, that's all it is. They have finally been translated. Okay, and also probably interpreted, but deciphered? No, I don't think so. Okay. Oh, they were found more than 100 years ago. All right, so yeah, so they've been around for a while. 4 clay tablets. This is the work they did on 4 tablets. Okay, but there's a lot of information on them, and they're about celestial omens. Okay, the authors of the tablets use the time of night, movement of shadows, and the date and duration of eclipses to predict omens. So, trying to predict what's going to happen, right? So, for example, one omen says that if an eclipse becomes obscured from its center all at once and clear all at once, a king will die. Destruction of Elam. Elam is in Iran, okay? Another one says, if an eclipse begins in the south and then clears, downfall of Subartu and Akkad. So it's basically predicting what wars are going to be won, what civilizations are going to be destroyed from watching the heavenly bodies, okay? An eclipse in the evening watch, it signifies pestilence. It's possible that ancient astrologers used past experiences to help determine what omens the eclipses portended. Yeah, they must have, like, it happened before. Remember that time when there was an eclipse that did this, and then this happened? This is probably how they're doing it. They're thinking it's scientific, right? We chuckle at this, but they took it very seriously. At least some of the people did. So, yeah, so those are translated. And then there's something else that was translated as well. Fragments of previously lost Euripides tragedies have been translated. Oh, wait a minute. This might be from Herculaneum. Let's double check here. No, it's not Herculaneum. Okay, so they found some lost Euripides tragedies. Now, Euripides is a famous Greek tragic playwright. Okay, well, some of his plays we have and some of his plays we do not have. Well, this here, okay, was found in Egypt. This was found at a place called, it's the ancient necropolis of Philadelphia. It's southwest of Cairo. That's the Greek name. Not sure what the Egyptian name is. But anyway, it was discovered in late 2022. Egyptian archaeologists found it. And they are part of the play called Eno, a revenge tragedy. They only found 37 lines. And a play called Polyeidos, a tragedy of about 60 lines were uncovered. So it's not even near the whole thing. It's better if we'd have the whole play, obviously, but we didn't find the whole play. But the papyrus was uncovered in 3rd century CE pit graves. So this is relatively late in ancient times, but we never had these plays before. This one's a really cool fragment here. Look at that. So we've got some fragments of Euripides plays, and they got lines in them that they say, oh, this sounds like Euripides. Yeah, one of them said this is the most significant find of Greek tragedy since the publication of a papyrus of Euripides' Erechtheus in the Sorbonne collection in 1967. Here it is in situ. Look at that. Polyeidos is a myth in which King Minos pleads with the eponymous prophesier to revive his deceased son Glaucus. That's this is one of the lines. You're rich, but don't think you understand the rest. Ineptitude arises in prosperity. That's a very Euripides sounding line. But yeah, so really cool. I love it when ancient documents are found. Let's see what you guys have to say. It was probably a Greek city founded by Ptolemy II Philadelphus, says Glenn. Ancient lit folks are going to love that. Yeah. A bit lit. Now, Cretus was founded by the Sayat Kings Dynasty 26. How are they able to tell it's Euripides? I think from the content, suspicious fish. I'm assuming that there's enough here, enough lines of the play And we already know about these plays from other ancient Greeks talking about them. Oh, yeah, there's a play about this. So we already know what it's about. And then the writing style is probably very much in the Euripides style. So they're like, this has got to be it. I think that's how they do it. That's really cool, says Friday Boss Man. I recall there are many plays we know existed but don't have. I always wondered, what if we found them? Yeah. Raruni says maybe there's hope someday we can find fragments of or the entire Titanomachy. Yeah, that would be really cool. Lily says humans are great at recognizing patterns, so it makes sense they would base omen predictions on prior happenings. Yeah. It's a tragedy we don't have all these works. Yeah. A real tragedy that they didn't find the rest of those tragedies. Yes. Okay. You're thinking alike. Philadelphus was originally pejorative, as inbreeding was looked down upon amongst Greeks. Yes, right, Dr. Banoob. Let's see. All right. Hey, Dr. Miano, it was published July 31st, but did you cover the discovery at Wedbet? No, I did not. Remind me what it was about, because I don't know if I even knew about it. Okay, let's look at another one. Bronze artifacts dedicated to warrior god found in ancient castle. Now, this is from the ancient civilization of Urartu. You ever heard of Urartu? It's a civilization we don't know a lot about, okay? But they found 3 shields and a helmet at the archaeological site of Ionis. This is in eastern Turkey, in the Van province. This is near Lake Van. Yeah. Ionis was a citadel city founded in the 7th century BC by the Urartian king Urusa. Urartu was an Iron Age kingdom. And there is one of the shields. I think that's a shield. Yeah, that's one of the ancient bronze shields from Ionis at Urartu. And it's great because we don't get a lot from Urartu. So when we do find something, it's always fills in with some of the gaps, you know. Ionis is widely considered to be the last major architectural glory of the ancient kingdom. It was founded with a 15-acre citadel atop a rocky hill at an altitude of around 6,100 feet, overlooking Lake Van. Yeah. And surrounding the citadel was a 198-acre outer city. Archaeological excavations there have been carried out since 1989, so they're still working there. So I think that's great. I haven't done a video on Urartu yet, and I think I should. Oops. All right. This is from Egypt as well. I got 2 in a row here from Egypt. New Kingdom Army barracks and food stores unearthed at Tel al-Abkain site in Bahira. This is in the Delta. It's very rare to find Egyptian ruins in the Delta because it's always flooding and waterlogged and everything, and the water has just destroyed many of the remains of cities up there. So when we do find things from the Delta, it's really a great thing. So they found these army barracks from the New Kingdom period. Okay, this is late Bronze Age. Okay, they found mud brick structures that served as barracks for the soldiers. Okay, and then also here's some more pictures of it. Just the bottoms of the walls. And look at these, some inscriptions, hieroglyphs, and some scarab seals. Some jewelry. Pretty cool. And then also in the Delta, they found the oldest astronomical observatory discovered in Kafr el-Sheikh. I got to go to Kafr el-Sheikh last time I went to Egypt. I think the first episode of my Egypt series is there, Kafr el-Sheikh. But I didn't know about this. Well, of course, because this has just happened. Yeah, this is from the 6th century BCE site of Buto, ancient Buto, Tel el Farain. Okay, that's where Buto is. The Kafr el-Sheikh Museum has a lot of things from Buto. Yeah, they found the remains of an observatory made out of mud brick that tracks solar and stellar movements, and they're saying it's the oldest astronomical observatory. Is it? I don't know about that. I might question that. It's certainly the oldest found in Egypt, maybe. Okay. Among the key discoveries are a rare slanted stone sundial. Isn't that cool? You can see some of the remains found here, some of the artifacts from the site. So I'm sure more is going to come out of it. A lot has been found. Look at all these. Amazing. Those will probably all go into the Kafr el-Sheikh Museum. So that's really cool. And then we have something from Japan. Okay. Researchers identify mystery artifact from ancient capital. So this is from Nara. This is the capital of Japan in the Nara period, it's called. Okay. A strip of wood. You might say, what's so big about a strip of wood? Oh, well, turns out this is a 1,300-year-old multiplication table, or part of a multiplication table, to be more precise. It was excavated in 2001, okay, but no one has really studied it closely until now. All right. It's pretty small, 16 by 1.2 centimeters. Okay, part of a larger multiplication table dating to between the late 7th and early 8th century CE. If the multiplication table was whole, the wood tablet would measure 33 centimeters in length with all the equations written out. Researchers believe Emonfu workers in the capital used the table at their office because of its size. Okay. See, only a portion of the table was legible, but apparently they have been studying it to figure out exactly what it's saying. So, yeah. So I think that's pretty cool. Emonfu means the guard's office. Yeah. I try to find things from all over the world for you. I just hope you have a better pair of boots next time you go to Egypt. You watched it. Yeah, you knew I lost my boots last time. Yeah, I have better boots now. Glenn says his tours of Upper Egypt. Yeah, the Delta is Lower Egypt. Yeah, a lot of people get that confused. Upper Egypt is Southern Egypt, and Lower Egypt is Northern Egypt. And that's because the Nile flows downhill north. Okay, so that's why the north is lower. Yeah. Karnak is visibly changed every time you visit, and there's new Theban tombs open. Yeah, so there's always new things to see there. I hope you can come, people. Now, maybe you you want to take a vacation this year and you have some money set aside. Why not try Egypt? Going to Egypt alone, it's tough. It's I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. Very difficult. But going with a tour group with people who know what they're doing, and I'm going with Adept Expeditions. They're taking care of all the logistics. It's going to run smoothly. It's going to be great. We're staying at good places. We got all the restaurants picked out, and I'm teaching ancient Egyptian history. It's like a course about Egypt in Egypt. So if you could go, I think you really enjoy it. I'm a college student living in poverty. I can only dream. I understand, El. I understand. Were the previous series as good as Turkey's? Well, they always get a little bit better, but I think you'll love the Egypt series. Actually, all the series are good. It's just the video quality, I think, gradually improves over time. But the content's still pretty much the same. Okay, let's look at another one here. I'm going a little bit longer than usual today. All right, mysterious. They always put the word mysterious in these titles, don't they? 1,800-year-old Roman gladiator tomb discovered in Turkey's Izmir. So yeah, a Roman gladiator tomb dating back to the 3rd century BC, discovered at Izmir. Yeah, they here's some of the work that's being done here. The tomb was reused in the 5th century. So it had, it was a Roman gladiator's tomb, and then someone reused the tomb later, and they've discovered that. But you can see a coffin there, which is pretty cool. Surprising discoveries beneath the surface. They found a water channel, a drainage system, mosaics, and several tombs. So it's not just the Roman gladiator, but his was the most interesting of the tombs. And there's a church there as well. So you can see a cross. The church there was above. Yeah. So this is really cool. Roman gladiator tomb in Turkey. Uh, and then we have a submerged stone bridge constructed 5,600 years ago. Okay. Now, this is a little early for me. 3600 BCE is when when the first cities start to appear, but this is not near there. This is over in the Western Mediterranean near Majorca. Okay. And they found the remains of a stone bridge. They didn't even know people were building bridges over there at this time. That's why it's kind of cool, right? And show that humans settled there earlier than previously believed. Hey, we were just talking about that, L, right? Something happening earlier. So this is the Balearic Islands. You know, the Balearic Islands are right just to the east of the Iberian Peninsula. It indicates a sophisticated level of activity, implying that early settlers recognized the caves. There was a cave there, and strategically built infrastructure to navigate it. So it's built over like a lake under in a cave, Genovesa Cave. So pretty cool. There's part of the cave there. All right, I got to move it along here. So here's a quick one here. Bronze ships ram recovered near Sicily. So another underwater one here. I think it's cool because I love the old naval battles in ancient times in the Mediterranean, where naval battles are ships ramming each other. That's how they did it. Before Roman times, they were ramming each other, and this is a ram that they put on the front of a ship. Okay, they're designed to do the most possible damage. So basically, you're going row, man, row, and you're like try to ram into the side of a ship to poke a hole in it and sink the ship. And that's how the naval battles were done. But it's always cool when they find an actual ram. Okay, this came off a ship, obviously, that got sunk. You might have heard this story. I thought it's worth bringing up. Stonehenge's altar stone. So they did a study on the stone and its geology and the type of stone and all of that. And this scientific study concluded that the altar stone at Stonehenge may have originated in northeastern Scotland, which is a long way from here. And that has led to all kinds of discussion. I think the authors of the study suggested that they transported it from Scotland, probably by water, because that's the only going over land that would have been almost impossible. So they probably did it on a raft or barge of some kind that could hold that weight. But a lot of people are skeptical of this. Oh, no way people in Stonehenge times could have done that. It's too high technology for them. I think it's possible. But then I heard some other people making some comments about how maybe the stone didn't come from Scotland. Maybe it originally came from that area, but geological natural forces from a long time before Stonehenge brought this type of stone closer to the area, and they didn't actually have to go that far. I don't really know. I'm not a geologist, but it got a lot of press. I don't know if you remembered this story or not. Ancient people were so much smarter than we give them credit for. That's right, Lily. I think so too. Those are cool ship battles. Great way to preserve what may have normally been melted down. Oh yeah, that's Rachel about the ram. Yeah, sure. Everybody knows that aliens carried it to England. Maybe it's a rolling stone. Could the rock not have been deposited south by glacier? Yeah, Stuart, I think it could have been. So that could be also, yeah. Pick needs an arrow to the stone. It's the one lying flat under the others. Oh, yeah. You're right. We're looking at the one on top, aren't we? Yeah. I think there were surveys around Sicily revealed other ram parts laid out on the seabed and assumed to indicate final battle location for these vessels. Okay, yeah. Gary, that makes sense. Water is really the way people got around. It's easier that way, right, Elle? Maybe it rocked and rolled. Maybe. Okay. Lord, make them die an awful death. What's this talking about? Prisoners' dark pleas found etched into Roman era prison. Yeah, so in Corinth, in Greece, they have found a Roman prison, okay? And on the walls in the prison, they found things written by the prisoners from Roman times. I just think this is so cool, all right? So here's the area of Corinth that we're talking about. And so some of the things they found written here were the one that you saw on top. but like this is in Greek, they're writing it. May the fortune of those who suffer in this lawless place prevail. Lord, do not show mercy on the one who threw us in here. This is right there. I shouldn't laugh because obviously they are living a terrible life in prison. But it's cool to find this graffiti, right? Additionally, they noted what appeared to be the remains of old pie, jugs, and lamps on the east aisle of the prison. These would have provided prisoners with water and a bit of light. There was also evidence for a small latrine in one of the prison's chambers, and it may have been used by the prisoners or guards. Yeah. They wrote their pleas in the cracks in the flooring. Kind of interesting. And it was a very dismal place, they say. So here's another one. Lord God, this was in the Christian period, by the way. Lord God and pure justice, ransom from this place the two brothers. Christ safeguard both Buddhas and John. Here's another one. The fortune of the beautiful girls who love the unmarried men prevails. I guess it means they're talking about their girlfriends or something. Lord, make them die an awful death, one inscription says. Yeah. So that's kind of cool, right? Learn about how prisoners were feeling. Underground parts of the 2,000-year-old aqueducts of Central Anatolia's Ephesus being unearthed. By the way, Central Anatolia's Ephesus makes it sound like it's talking about Ephesus, but Ephesus is in Western Anatolia. This is Central Anatolia's Ephesus, meaning, oh, this is as good as Ephesus, but it's, it's in Central Anatolia. It's cool. I didn't actually get to go here when I went to Turkey, but what they're doing is there's an aqueduct here. This is at the site of Kemerhisar. Kemerhisar, is that how you say it? A neighborhood of Bor in Nide. Okay. 2,000-year-old aqueducts. And it was known as the Tuwanova, or it was also called Tuwana, and then Tiana later. Tuwana in the Hittite period. So it's a very old city. But what they're doing is they're digging out the underground parts of the aqueduct. And I guess tourists are going to be able to visit it when they're done. But I thought that was interesting. But it's kind of near the end of my list here. Is that it? Oh, one more. This is my last one. Amazing discovery that helped build Roman Britain. So they found the site of an ancient kiln that was used in the building of Roman Britain's second largest town. And we're talking about, I don't even know if I'm going to say it right, Cirencester? I'm not sure how to say it. I know how to say Gloucestershire, but Cirencester? I'm not sure how to say it. Maybe somebody in the comments knows. But anyway, that's the name of the site. So they found a kiln there where they made tiles for roofs. Okay, so roof tiles were being produced here at this ancient site. And you can actually go look at it. You can actually go to the site and see the remains of the kiln. So, and you can see the kiln has stamps on it. This tells you who, basically what people were making it. So you can learn more about that from this site. So I'll leave all the links for these below. Well, anyway, thank you everybody for coming along and joining me for this. If you'd like to help support the World of Antiquity channel, you like what I'm doing here, please consider giving a super thanks or a super sticker donation. If you want to do it long term, you can go over to Patreon and support the channel for like $2 a month if you want to keep that going. But anyway, anything you give is much appreciated. Just watching is much appreciated. Thank you for coming out today and learning about all these discoveries. Next month, I'll be around again to talk about the next month's latest. So I hope you can join me then. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you next time.